This conference will now be recorded.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. You got it online there, Jonah? Morning, this is Marion County Commission, February 16th, 9 a.m. Are we going to have a COVID update to start with?
I do have a COVID update from Deidre.
Okay.
Marion County has been in the red since November 1st. However, Marion County is now in the yellow. The percentage is decreasing.
Fell down a little, 10%.
The rolling 14-day positivity rate for Marion County for the period through February 13th is 8%. She said vaccines are arriving weekly from KDHE. We are to be receiving 200 prime doses this week and 200 booster doses. We immunized 402 individuals in their mid-70s and above with their prime dose. Tomorrow's pod is planned for 200 individuals in their 70s and above. This pod will again be in the Sherry Fleming Center for the Arts at Tabor, and an appointment is required. This is the last scheduled pod at this time for prime doses. The end of this week, we will be starting boosters of the individuals who were vaccinated at the end of January. This pod, which is the next one, next week, will be conducted at the Marion County Fairgrounds. Currently, vaccinations are by appointment only. And she again thanks hospitals, volunteers, other businesses that have assisted, and to the county commissioners for your assistance and allowing other county offices to assist. The clerk's office continues to assist with appointment scheduling. For those of you that have heard we can request a vaccine, I would like to clarify that local health departments cannot request a vaccine. I've received several emails asking why I have not requested more vaccine. Of course, had not heard this, so checked into this with our region's KDHE immunization consultant, Lorraine Baumann, and this was her response. The pharmacies are getting their vaccine through the federal government, and it has nothing to do with the state. The state allocation is set by KDHE. You cannot request more vaccines, and you're doing your best. I wanted to point out that the press release will be Tuesdays and Thursdays rather than Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. And then once the pods are completed in March, the scheduled reporting may revert back.
Okay. With that being said, I received a phone call after your pod last week from former Commissioner Leroy Wetta out of Peabody, out of my district. And he was elated and wanted to say thank you to everybody that worked there, everybody that was there. He said that was the most organized and well thought out thing that he said. From the minute I arrived, there was people at the door, to the minute I left, there was people helping. And so that goes to thank all the people that was there, all the inside and outside. He had comments thanking both for inside and outside work. So I'd like to say thank you for you guys that was there, because when you get comments like that, and he made it a very special phone call to me to make sure that I understood what he was talking about. So to Deidre, the health workers, to the people outside, the volunteers, thank you for receiving people like we have been doing, and we all know that we're trying to do our best, and we will continue to try to do our best. So that's one thing. Anybody else have anything on COVID or anything that they'd like to say about the pod or anything?
It's just a lot of good comments.
Yeah.
Did I miss it? Did they say how many active and how many?
She did not give that on this report.
You didn't miss it, no.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Yeah. Well. Okay.
We should have a new release later today that has that information.
That is right, Tuesday.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Have Deidre relayed that she needs anything, or?
I'll check with her after the meeting,
Okay.
and then I can let all of you know.
Yeah, I mean.
She hasn't said specifically.
Okay. You might send her a text sometime, or let her know before we even get out of the meeting.
Sure.
See if there's anything.
Randy, I made a suggestion to them this morning that they should contacted Road and Bridge about helping unload this afternoon at Taylor College.
Unload stuff?
Yeah, they have
Okay.
a trailer.
Okay.
Because Road and Bridge will be dressed for it, and the nurses aren't quite dressed for this weather.
Right. Have you talked to Bryce, though, see if you...
No, I have not. But I just,
We should have him in here a little bit. Let's don't let that, see if we can help that way.
grease the wheels.
And we do have, it looks like David Mueller is on the call now.
Okay.
Or on the meeting.
Okay. Morning, Dave.
Morning.
Good morning.
Sun shining up there and everything's okay up there your way, right?
Rolling blackout, but other than that, sun's out.
Okay. All righty.
I heard this morning that the Durham sub was down.
Durham substation, okay.
Yep.
Okay. Does that mean you too, Ken?
Yep.
Okay. All righty. Well, we'll move into administrative business. If you got anything, Dave, just speak up.
Will do.
Okay.
All right. We do have some early checks this morning.
Okay.
And let's see if I can get this to show up. The total amount is $790.67, and this was the balance of the first quarter for Prairie View, as well as phase 1 of the jail security camera upgrade project, which was encumbered.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve $67,790.67.
I'll second it.
Motion by Jonah, second by Dave Crowfoot, for approve the early checks for $67,790.67. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye, 5-0. Can you hear me good enough, Dave?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Okay, thank you. Does he have a stamp? Yeah.
Yes, he does.
Okay.
Okay, I do have the minutes of February 8th.
Is there any corrections for the meeting of minutes of February 8th? If none, I'd make a motion to approve the minutes of February the 8th. Do you hear a second?
Second.
Second by Jonah. I made the motion, Jonah second, to approve the minutes of February the 8th. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye, 5-0.
Okay, we have change orders.
Oh, yes. Saw a bunch of them.
I am. That's okay. What do you need?
Yeah, out here down the hall and then back towards the back of the stairs. Straight to the wall.
There's clips in there.
I had on here to, with a question mark, adopt a resolution to change the meeting times. I've not received a resolution, so we will have to do that on a different day.
Okay.
And then, so the only thing I have left then are the salary change.
I have some salary change here for, now the first one will be for Camille Reamer, for the ambulance department, from 6-month raise from 1530 to 1555. Second will be ambulance department, Timothy Vogel, for 6-month raise as EMT from 1330 to 1355. Third will be Road and Bridge, Luke Dawson, 6-month raise as Equipment Operator 1 from 2319 to 2362. Transfer station, salary change for Amanda McReynolds from 2362 to 2408, transferred from truck driver to Equipment Operator 1-year raise. And transfer station salary change for Daniel Selznick from 2652 to 2683, 6-month raise as Equipment Operator 2. righty. Road and bridge this morning, Bryce. Go right ahead and start us off.
Okay, got transport fuel bids. Okay, and even after reminding people this morning, only got one bid from co-op, so that's the one we would go with. There should be enough copies for everybody.
Make a motion to go with the transport fuel bid. CGS, $16,707.30.
Okay, have a motion by Jonah, second by Kent, to go with a transport fuel bid of a total of $16,707.30. All those in favor say aye.
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 5-0.
Voice.
Yeah.
Come up north.
Man up north, I guess. Probably some North Pole, let's go. Got an update, been very, very difficult the last week on people, equipment. I was out Sunday, driving around, had the guys out yesterday. They had some pretty big drifts down south, 3 and 4 foot in places. Had the guys out, the trucks were out. They, for the most part, fared pretty well, but our motor graders didn't. We made the decision this year, of all the years, to go with a 50-50 blend on our diesel fuel instead of going straight number 1, saving us 30 cents a gallon. Well, guess what? Even though we treated them and everything else, we still had a hard time with blades. Did get them started, took a lot of the blend out of there, went with straight number 1, got them going, so they're back on the roads today. Not a lot, the farther south you went, the worse it got, but they should be knocking back the drifts and stuff today. So, like I said, it's been pretty tough on equipment, but we are getting warmer, so that should help considerably. So,
Same for you, Bryce. I had a phone call regarding the men being out and getting the roads and stuff, and I had a thank you phone call yesterday for Mike Beneke.
okay.
And so, just wanted to pass that on. Just wanted to pass that on to you. That you know, there is some people that that's thankful for us getting out and doing things. And so,
Okay, well, I do appreciate that, because it definitely was cold, and this morning it wasn't any better, but, so, anyway, pretty slow operations there, but I'm not really I'm looking forward to warmer weather, but, getting this frost out of the ground, this snow melting, it's gonna be kind of a mess the next couple of weeks, but we'll handle things, so. I have a utility permit from Zale. Oops. It's for a relocating a fiber optic line on Remington Road, Pilson Road, from 240th, about halfway through 240th. We have 2 fiber optic lines. Well, the Zale as well as Tri-County Telephone have 2 fiber optic lines on the east side of the road and also on the west side. But this area is prone for flooding every year, every rain. So I asked them to locate the lines, and Zale does have conflict with the depth where we're going. We want to dig out the ditch, fix the drainage and stuff. Tri-County believes that they are deep enough, won't be a problem, but I'd like to get those located and get that dug out. Hopefully sometime next month that they get that done, so that spring rains won't cause us to have flooding in that area. So.
okay. So everything's good as far as your.
Yep.
Everything's ready to go. So.
We've actually been working on this about 6 months.
Okay.
It's pretty common that, especially Tri-County, they've been working on getting all the lines and stuff in, and to say this is a minor thing, well, it's minor, but it becomes major when we have water across the road, and we're trying to get them to, but that process takes a little while. You gotta deal with our engineers and everything, so, but, yep, not a problem.
Does anybody have any problems with me signing? Okay. I've signed that, and I also see on the back page here, I have an acceptance notification. That will be done afterwards?
Yeah, we send that out with all of them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
I want to see it back and signed by you, and
Okay.
then I'll sign it again.
Okay.
Okay, cool, thank you, Bryce.
All right.
This was yours, or you want her to have a copy so she knows where it's at?
Yeah, we just, I give her a copy, and then I follow up with them, and it was approved, so.
Okay.
I think Tina got the information sent to you. I finally got the information back on the fuel pumps. Basically, the two people in the industry right now are PB Hoydale as well as Double Check. I finally got something back from Double Check, and they've been waiting. They've been, I don't know. But anyway, got the information back. Obviously, PB Hoydale was considerably less expensive. Basically doing the same thing, same pumps, things like that. I've also heard from people in the industry that if you go with Double Check and they come out to work on your pumps or look at them, it's $1,000 minimum, and sometimes can take a long time. So I guess if the commission is looking for a recommendation, I'd like to go with the PB Hoydale price to do that. Basically, apples to apples is what we were looking for. So, if you, I did send you the information on the pumps, the gas boy, things like that, and all the information. If you have any questions, whatever else, we could probably get them up here. But pretty straightforward. Take out what we have and put back the new ones. The other price that they had was to fix all of our covers and stuff on the west side of those pumps. For whatever reason, when they were put in considerably higher. I mean, they're probably some places 8 inches higher than the gravel going around there. You want them higher, but yet they're almost to the point now they're too high. They've actually been hit, they're cast, they're broke. So they would go in for that. It was at $8,000. Would go in and bring those back down to grade. I've been told by both of them that the state is now mandating that they will make a visit at least once a year to check on the drainage of those. Evidently, they're supposed to hold water to make sure that they don't leak. When they come out and check them, evidently they put water in them, and then they will actually siphon the water out or something to that effect. So, be a good time to do it while we're in there, get everything taken care of. So those are pretty much at grade and won't be hit anymore. So
what are we looking at total price here?
Was the Hoydale has the $37,361, and then I believe the extra was
56 or something.
For Double Check is 56.6, and then
Yes.
the other.
Same amount of equipment and
basically same identical stuff. Yep.
programming, everything.
Yeah. And that would be, I mean, Double Check had decided to put in their own new wiring. PB Hoydale believes we could use the existing wiring as far as that goes. So.
And then Randy, the bid was 37,361. And Bryce, what did you say the extra is?
That's what I was looking for here. Maybe
I see the 29 down there. That's the equipment though.
Yeah, if you go up one more page.
Yeah, 37,361.
Yes.
Maybe I didn't put that in there. Anyway, I can get that back to you if you'd like to wait on that too. But which that'd be a good time to do that, because we've been trying to find somebody to come in there and fix that. Our equipment actually shows a protective cover alarm, and we don't know if it's a fault in the system or if there's actually a problem over there, but we cannot figure out who is in charge of those. I have contacted 4 or 5 different agencies in Kansas, from revenue to ag to whoever else, and nobody knows anything about those covers. So this system also, the real good thing that I'm looking for is with the gas boy system is, well, obviously the documentation, both of them are going to be identical. It will also provide a wireless feed from the pumps over to our office for that information, so we would have to worry about the electrical for that running across there. So
Our tanks are underground?
yes.
Okay. Just from what I see, is there any consideration of us having to do something with them in the future?
From what I understand, our tanks, they're monitored all the time. We have wells for them, and they're in great shape as far as that goes. You know, here 10, 15 years ago, the big push was take tanks out of ground and put them above ground. from what I understand from both of these people, there's actually getting more stringent requirements for above ground tanks now as compared to being below ground. As long as you monitor them below ground, you're okay. Up on top, you have to worry about all the other stuff going on with it.
My point being is if we had a problem, you know, I'd hate to spend this kind of money and then rip it out to get the tanks out.
As far as I know, there's no problems. Our monitoring is done every year and no problems. So, and we also have the cathodic protection on them, and that's monitored through our office also. So.
And final product, when I was reading through it there yesterday, final product is everybody will have a card.
It will be, that was on like the last 2 sheets I sent you, little key fobs.
Yeah.
So basically every vehicle that would require fuel, except for small engines, we can do one for like the lawnmower and stuff like that, but like chainsaw, stuff like that, we would just either make a separate key or whatever the case may be, or make that key for that vehicle be able to, because some of them will have off-road fuel on them also. So we'll set that up, but basically they'll just go up and swipe it, fill up, it'll be done, documentation will be sent electronically. That's what both of them recommended, was to go with that system with the gas blade. Gives you a lot more versatility. I think there was 121 different vehicles in the county that would have fuel. So
if you had a truck number 32772 and you wanted to put some chainsaw gas in and fill up with that at the same time as one of maybe our outside guys might do with that truck number, what would that card work for the?
That's one of the things we'd have to find out. Or the other thing is, would we have just one we would keep in the shop to say this is for small engines for, we're not talking about a lot of fuel, so it's not going to be a huge issue. But something to that effect, or make the key fob a duplicate. Again, that's one of the technicalities we'd have to work out. But like I said, we're not talking near as much fuel as we do with like the highway diesel.
On my card, with Atmos, is I can put whatever number of the machine it is and charge fuel to that number.
And maybe that's something we can do too. Like I said, we haven't got to that. I'm mainly concerned about the volume of the highway diesel and the unleaded that we go through.
Correct.
That it should be a lot easier for everybody. Also, while we do this, I'm actually going to go to the extra effort and put a dusk to dawn light out there. So people come up, they actually have a light instead of having to work with phones or whatever else. And
We don't have?
Huh?
We don't have?
Correct. And we have to make our own pole because we can't mount anything on the vent pipes
Right.
that go up. So,
But how about a light that would cover that whole area? I don't know. Just maybe we got somebody here that might
Street
give-
light.
you mean at the pumps themselves, or?
He's talking more of a floodlight.
Floodlight to cover the whole area.
Well, we actually have a street light across the way in front of our building.
But that's not good enough for the pumps.
Well, you pull a vehicle up there, it blocks your
Okay.
light going up there. I don't think it's going to be more than a couple $100, but just be the. So.
I'm just saying if we want something worthwhile.
What kind of firewalls are there for being any illicit use?
As far as firewall, the only way they're going to get fuel is to have a key fob, as far as I know. Now, I don't know if there's people smarter than.
So when we reconcile that fuel every month and we're off,
Good question.
we're going to presume that it's a county employee?
Yes. Well, and that's where we are now. Is the fact is, I don't think anybody's stealing fuel or whatever else is. People go there, it's extremely cold. They get back in their vehicle, they forget to write it down, they drive off. We've had transposition errors. We've had things illegible to where they sign so quick you can't read them. So when Terry brings these back down here, he has to reconcile with all these different people. Hopefully it comes out. Then they have to figure out where it came from, and then in turn send those departments those bills. Well, this would be done automatically. It would just be set up to where it's printed out for each individual department.
So in terms of efficiency, this is a far better system than we have.
Yes.
But what are we looking for payback on it? 10 years? Or do we have any clue? What kind of efficiency this is gonna create that's gonna end up save us any money?
It's tough to it's tough to say, I guess, on my feelings, because where that comes into play is how much time Terry can and does spend every month going through these. Some departments actually want a physical photocopy of all those tickets that he spends. You know, if it's a couple hours a month, or whenever we get fuel, you know, that he has to spend, there's always that possibility of those errors basically all the way through there. So if you look at that fact is, if it saves him 2 hours a month, that's one savings. I could look there. You look at the indirect savings, I think it would be much easier to go through and just swipe the card, fill up, and you're done, instead of having to unlock the pumps. And because that's currently what they do, we have all those keys out there for those padlocks that you go up and unlock the pump, and then you fill it up, and then when you're done, you have to go write it down. And again, those possible errors there.
So it would save 10 minutes in fueling.
Who knows? I mean, it's, you know, some of these, well, like on the big trucks, you know, they can sit there for a long time. These will also have, the diesel pump will actually have 2 pumps in it, where right now we only have 1. So if you got 2 people fueling up diesel at the same time off the same pump, you're only getting half as much fuel. So that is going to be another indirect savings too.
I just look at it from our end. It'd be nice to say, this is big. You know, this is a 5-year payout, and it's good for 25 years,
Yeah.
20 years.
Honestly, I don't know what I could follow up with them to see if they have any industry standards. The other thing you look at, the fact is that by not investing in what we've done with those pumps, well, one of the things now is we actually have frozen fuel pumps this weather. Hopefully these new pumps will be a little bit better insulated and cover that. But you also look at the fact is that we haven't put hardly any money in this system for how many years too. So that
I don't know.
keeping up with that information. So
That was another one of my questions after camp got started was, we've either had repairs or something done since I've been sitting here, but I don't know about installation camp to tell you 16 years that, you know, whether they're older than 16 years old, or just it seems like they probably are. But we have had some troubles with the pumps.
You know, it'd be nice to be able to put dollar signs to equals efficiency of scale.
Correct.
You know, it's going to create some efficiencies and some documentation.
If you got 20, 30 people filling up every day, and that's 10 minutes per fill, that adds 2 more hours in overall.
And the software on this is all included in the price. There's no annual maintenance fee.
Nope. And that's a one-time setup for us. They come out and they help us settle that up. They will give us the authority to add or subtract key fobs, whatever we need to. So if we add a vehicle, we add a key fob. So I think this was set up for, I think I requested the ability to go up to 200 key fobs, basically sitting at 100. It's kind of hard to believe, but Road and Bridge alone was 70-some vehicles. By the time you put the sheriff and the ambulance, the health department, the transfer station, they all add up. So
I can see 150.
yeah.
So you could disable a key fob, the one goes missing.
We will have total control over that, and they say depending on how our Wi-Fi reception is, that we may even be able to pick up the signal from that computer up there, Wi-Fi, even down here. So we wouldn't even have to go up there and do that. Now, we don't know for sure until we get to that point, but it may just be a matter of something like that. So, but anyway, if you want more information, I can try to get back with them to see if they have some, you know, historical savings or whatever else that's.
Well,
Mr. Chairman?
I guess it's worth asking anyway.
Yes, Commissioner Mueller.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion. I'd move that the county proceed with the purchase of the follow-up on the Hoydale bid, $37,361 for the gas buoy equipment.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor, but I'm going to ask for any final discussion before we ask for a second even.
And this was budgeted
for the 2020 budget?
We can do it either way. What I was looking at is we spent like half of what we had budgeted last year. This year, unless the prices continue to go up, we're probably gonna be in the same situation where we don't know about this year, but to say that we could go back and encumber it from last year, that's a decision that would have to be done there.
I don't see how we can do that.
Okay.
Don't look like.
Yeah.
Tina has that look like, no. Anyway, but I mean, that's,
Okay. The key fobs, is this easier than cards to replace, take care of, maintain? I mean, just.
I think that is going to depend on the user themselves. My thought was, if you had a key fob, you put a key ring, you put the key on there, here you have it.
Okay.
A card you could put in every vehicle, but I would think with cards down the road, just like any other credit card, debit card you got, you may have to replace them down the road. I don't know, I mean, and they could lose the key fob as well.
Okay,
I mean, but
so did you ask how, if we lose one today for a certain truck, how are we gonna get that vehicle truck without, we're gonna go over and piggyback off another guy that has a truck?
No. They give us the authority to manage that whole system so that we can shut that key fob off if they lose it, get a new one made, and
What kind of time frame? You know?
whatever, as fast as we can do it. Couple minutes or whatever the
He
case
does
is.
it in his office.
Okay, you
Yeah.
have that available to build?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's what they're telling
okay.
me, is we would have total control over that, and
Okay. Any other discussion? I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Mueller. Do I hear a second?
I would second that.
Dave Crowfoot seconds. So we have a motion by Commissioner Mueller to go ahead with Hoydale, is that correct?
yes, PV Hoydale.
Hoydale, and for 37,000 and I don't have it.
361.
361.
Now, it does say plus freight, so we would obviously, we
Okay.
could make sure to get that back there. but-
Second by David Crowfoot, Commissioner. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Aye. Any others? All opposed, say aye.
Aye.
Have 4-1. Motion passes.
It's not that I'm against it, I just like to have a little more
Yeah.
information.
Sure,
Okay.
I'll follow up with them just for that, so.
Okay.
Okay. I also sent you a copy. It's ironic that this guardrail information come out last week. I forwarded it to you about all the liabilities and issues and stuff like that. It's the identical situation that every county in the state, probably every county in the nation has as far as liability of those guardrails and stuff like that. Just an FYI. It's interesting to see that they talked about a guardrail for small structures other than very, very deep channels really are more of a problem or liability than they are. But obviously bridges are another thing where you have to have those protections. To follow up with that, I did contact a local contractor. He actually does have those arch forms for that bridge still in his stock, so that he has agreed that we could rent them, use them, whatever else, so that later on in the spring when we can go in there, we can try to get those rebuilt. So it's amazing for probably 1950, 1960s when they were built that they still have those, but they still repair them every now and then, and so anyway, we can get those repaired, and it's a pretty high labor issue because basically it's all formed out of curved plywood and things to that effect, but.
I didn't stop and take a look at it. I just glanced at it the last time I went by. So, you know, other commissioners, if you go by there, take a look and get your opinion whether it's necessary or it's not necessary.
Well, it's, you know, it's to say that it's not necessary. It's let's put it this way: it would be a necessary thing if somebody hit it again and created an issue. It may never be an issue if no one ever goes by there and hits it or whatever. I mean, it's one of those things where you have guardrail, and the guardrail coming up to it, if you look, is actually pretty low. So a higher vehicle may go over the top of the time, but it brings up the issue of how far do we go back to try to make these up-to-date current standards.
Yeah.
So that affects the other thing, that in guardrail on paved areas creates an issue too, because they are set. Current standard is 31 inches above the edge of the road to, is it the top of the guardrail or center guardrail, whatever it is. But If you overlay the road, put 2-inch overlay on it, now you have substandard guardrail. So a lot of times when you see this, when they're working on the roads, they'll actually mill into the bridge to keep that grade the same all the way through there. So, but anyway, we can look at it down the road and try to get something fixed.
I think along with, if we have opportunity to have access to forms, that should be something that we try to do.
Yeah, that was my thought. I mean, we've done this before, so. The Nelson Falls NF Construction has sent us a pay voucher for the work that they've got done on the NRCS project on 130th. Contacting the NRCS guys, they said they don't have a problem with that to pay them. In fact, they would encourage it. What it does is basically the county pays them, and then we're reimbursed by the NRCS. We have to turn in, along with this bill, we turn in what we've done in our in-kind stuff, and then they reimburse based on that. So they requested $47,340 out of what they've done so far. So as a commission, you guys can make a decision if you want to go ahead and pay them, or if you want to wait till they're done. I'm guessing they hopefully will get started here maybe the end of this week, if not first of next week, on the project up here. They still have to seed down here, which may be several weeks to a month out. We gotta wait for that ground to thaw just to take seed and stuff. But they've requested it, said it's not, mandatory, but they just thought
What was the total bill?
all they requested was $47,340. I don't have the total amount. It was there.
Yeah. Okay, when they send you that billing, generally that comes up to the board, and it should have what the remaining balance is. Does it say on the billing?
This is just an invoice from them. So
Okay.
I can, and we don't need to make a decision today. I can come up with all that.
Let's take a straw poll here with the commission. Would you like to see a bill presented with this amount subtracted from the total bill, so you knew?
Yeah, I'm always in favor of the AIA form, so you see what your contract amount is,
Yeah.
your lesson.
Yeah. No problem. And that's mainly what I just brought
Well, we
up for
could
you
go back
guys.
to the original contract to get the total, but
Do we have an engineer on that, or is it you?
It's me.
Okay, so
Me
that's,
through them and,
okay, so that's what you'll need to do.
okay.
And they have a payment performance bond.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
we have a payment performance bond on that, so we
Yeah.
should be able to pay them.
And like I said, I just mainly, not that we'd have to prove this, but that's just to get your idea. So I'll come up with the necessary documentation, get back with you.
I think you can present it like that, and I think we're more than willing to pay it.
Okay.
Just a matter of documentation the right way to see.
what do we pay that out of? Just general fund?
No, it'll be paid out of Road and Bridge, and then the reimbursement from NRCS will be paid back into Road and Bridge.
Okay.
Road bridge will be a little light.
Everything comes out of it.
Okay.
And the last thing I had was an update on the concrete crushing. They've just been off last week and a half due to weathers. I contacted him yesterday and said that he's hoping to get going into this week, maybe into this weekend. So just an update as what's going on. So they're like everybody else, they can't work when equipment doesn't want to start things too. So
I heard about some of your stuff, any other, my pickup's starting to fail this morning, yesterday morning, due to, I've got antifreeze starting to leak out of it somewhere, so is there, due to the weather, are we having very much truck trouble, pickup troubles?
nothing weather related other than those fuel issues. And, I don't think we anticipated getting as cold as it did. And that's the main thing. We did actually, the trucks, last week, we actually put considerable fuel treatment in there, and got some good mix in there. The problem with most of the motor graders is they were already full, and so if you put the fuel conditioner in there, you have to put so much more fuel conditioner in there, and it doesn't get circulated. The other thing we're finding out that if it wasn't the fuel, it was the fuel filters that were causing a problem. But other than that, that was the main issue. So
Okay, we have one other thing, Bryce. Dave, you talked to, or you mentioned to Deidre?
Deidre, the health department
okay,
is moving into the Table College this afternoon.
Okay,
And it's been done by all the women in the past. I don't know if Broken Bridge could supply 2 people with the correct clothing on, because it's gonna be cold, unloading the trailer into the
okay.
Fleming Center.
What time?
I'm thinking around 2 o'clock or 3. I mean,
Well-
Deidre had to coordinate that with you.
Or you have give me a call, text me, whatever else, we can
Okay.
probably find some people, so.
Yeah. 'Cause I thought you got a lot of people out just, they're doing stuff, but they're just,
Yeah.
And they're moved to the Sherry Arts Plumbing building?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Bryce. If
they
you
would
do have-
appreciate it.
Yep,
If you do have some people available, it'd be great.
yep. Okay. Anything else?
I have nothing further.
Toward the sunshine.
It is shining.
It looks nice out.
Well, you're the guys I clean out, even though the sunshine is still, I was at 18 below this morning in my truck. and
Yes.
That's crazy. So.
23 below in my car.
Was it?
When I left.
Jesus.
Yeah. You're from the northern territory, aren't you?
It's -8 now.
Okay.
By the way.
Good.
It would have been a lot warmer in Alaska.
I think so.
Yeah, ain't that something?
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Bryce.
As long as the wind don't blow.
Yes.
It's not that bad.
That's right. We were last week. We were like, oh, if we get 7 to 10 inches of snow and we put any kind of wind to it, it's gonna be brutal.
We
So.
lucked out.
Yep. Thanks.
We live in paradise still. It's just cold.
Is Sharon on the screen?
Yes,
No,
she
no,
is.
she's
Oh,
visible.
she
She's
came.
visible. Come on, Sharon.
How are you?
Good.
I have some papers to hand out. Yes.
I gave them everything except the photos,
Perfect. Okay.
but I've got them to where I can display it, so.
Okay. Would you prefer to do that, or do you want a copy?
You sent the photos to us last week.
Yes. Okay. I just have a couple of additional photos that might help for clarity as to where these lots are at, but I can pass those around as we talk about them. So, the first thing I wanted to give the commission an update on the Lost Springs cleanup project. That was an ongoing project for several months, beginning with some violation letters in 2019 for a property in Lost Springs, Kansas. There were complaints about a nuisance and some environmental hazard issues at a location right there in town. The first property is 106 South Berry in Lost Springs. And it's right in the residential area, and it's right across the street from where Al's Cafe is, basically, to give you an idea of where that's at. So, at about the same time, and KDHE was contacted as well, and so the county and Toby Kuhn with the Bureau of Waste Management through KDHE partnered, and they have a program called the illegal, it's an illegal dump program basically that helps fund the cleanup of some of these properties when a property owner either has the inability to pay or is not willing to do the cleanup. So, Lost Springs was very fortunate to happen upon that opportunity. In November of 2020, the county did the cleanup project. There are actually 3 properties there. There's the one right there in the residential area, and then 2 farther right on the southern boundary of Lost Springs. One we've kind of labeled 103 East Crane, and one is a vacant lot. Let me find my,
Just off the wall, is this same owner for 3 properties?
the 3 properties that the cleanup project took place on are all the same responsible party. So the property owner, I believe, had a contract with the property owner. They're not the official owners on the parcels, but they are the responsible party. So,
Okay.
it fell to them. The cleanup responsibility fell to them. So the two properties on the south end of town, just so there's no confusion, I can pass these around. The two parcels are long from north to south. The way they were split up though, there's a fence all the way around the lower portion of that property, and then there's a residence on on what is technically 103 East Crane. The residence in that yard was not part of the cleanup. It was only the vacant area and then the lot to the west of the house. So I can pass these around. I believe
I got to see it.
David should have, I attempted to email those to David this morning, so hopefully he can see what we're talking about as well.
Yes, I've got them.
Perfect. So there were about 2 days spent at each property, and as you can see from the photos, there was an article in the newspaper a couple of weeks ago that some citizens aren't completely happy with what is left there, but KDHE worked with that property tenant to determine what types of materials are able to stay. So like the bricks, the clean rock, some cut wood, some different things like that were allowed to stay. And then everything on his porch, the county wasn't able to touch. That's considered part of the house. So even though it may look like there's still some materials left there, you can tell from the pictures that Road and Bridge did a very nice job of removing the excess materials from that property. At all three properties, there were stacks and stacks of pallets, tires, chemical barrels, just all kinds of things that had added up over the past few years. So I appreciate the help from Road and Bridge and the use of their equipment and their personnel.
Okay. Is there any questions by the commission? I've got some.
Okay.
Okay, we've got a cost here.
Mm-hmm.
We're some money short. Now, what I've seen in Butler County is that the county couldn't just go in and clean up, but through this program, maybe that's how we did this.
That's correct.
Okay, so the money that's extra that we didn't reclaim.
So the contract with the state was that the state would reimburse up to 75% at a cap of 10,000 per parcel. The county was contracted to give 25%, and we chose to do in kind, which meant our equipment and our personnel. Keep in mind, we were reimbursed FEMA rates, so we were reimbursed for time and a half every single person that had a part of this project. So it may look like we didn't recoup all of the expense, but in reality, it may equal out.
Okay. I just wondering, it looks like we're short, but
Mhm.
but like you said, we was reimbursed at a pretty good rate too.
Right.
So.
Do we have any legal authority, since you said they were the responsible parties,
Mhm.
but they weren't really the people on the deed? They
Right.
weren't the actual owner of the property.
Right.
Of course, it's a question of legal counsel, but
Right.
whether we would have any way to go back against the legal lot owner.
So if the property were to become a nuisance or environmental hazard again moving forward, the state has already let the responsible party, meaning the tenant of those parcels, know that they will personally be responsible for repaying for removal and disposal costs all the way back to the beginning of this project. So it would, and they have that they have those documents
Yeah.
signed through the
So
state.
our hands are really kind of tied about legally going back against the actual landowner.
I would hope that at this point, the state would take care of that with that property. I don't know if the
Yeah, I just-
actual property owner could be held responsible. I assume
I
ultimately
mean, the
so.
property owner really does have some responsibility. They knew what was going on.
Mhm, mhm. I would imagine they do have some sort of legal responsibility. But
I'm
that'd be a
just
good
looking
question for legal
at, you know,
counsel.
can we get a little of our money back somehow?
Yes, yes, just run this by Brad and say, is there anything we do any further from here? My concern is the person that piled it up, is he gonna start again somewhere, another lot somewhere? That's my concern, I don't know.
It's at the
So-
same place.
So,
Well, you can't in the same place, or
Yeah.
That's right,
there's a
the same
repercussion.
parcel.
Yeah.
History has shown that some of those, I guess you'd call them an operation,
Yeah.
will continue in some form or another.
Somewhere, yeah. And that's my concern too, is that's really, more than the money, is if we can just stop this thing from happening again, that would be the,
So part of my memo is also that I highly encourage the city of Lost Springs and all of our other incorporated cities to implement ordinances that will head off environmental issues like this. Every city has the ability to enforce ordinances within their own cities. Technically, this is their jurisdiction.
Yeah.
it is, and I
So-
agree, but I can take you through every town. And Marion just started here something just here, well, Hillsboro's done one.
And Mary did one come up there.
Marion's done one that becomes for your smaller towns, like we just said it, there's two. And then I went to the city council of Peabody, offered to work with them, and they just flat shut their mouths and said nothing. They did not say yay, they did not say nay, they didn't even discuss it again, because I offered to help them on two properties that's beside one of our county properties down there in Peabody. And I was trying to work with them, but they completely closed their mouths and said nothing. They have done nothing, period. So it's their priorities of the towns that, I know Burns is after one down there right now. Don't know where they're getting any help or not, but they're after some properties. But they don't have no money. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
That's
And
the
that's the
issue with the
trouble.
small,
Yeah.
but sometimes they're just not, maybe they're not informed. You know, we need to let them know, hey, you got some of these properties, we might be able to work with you on a similar type
Yeah.
cleanup.
There are ways to handle these situations, but they typically involve legal injunctions. I mean, you'd be talking lots
Yeah,
of dollars.
the cities have to be willing to spend a little money with an attorney. There's no
Yes,
doubt about that.
very true. Right where the city shop is right now, I was a city council member, mayor, through the time with that. We got that cleaned up, but it cost the city $30,000 to $40,000. I mean, just to clean up almost a block, half a block. And so, but it turned out to be a nice place for a city shop, and they constructed a nice building there. But it costs some money to get it done. That's the issue. Well, and I think this commission's willing to help in any way we can.
Sure.
It just appears that, a lot of people that wanna have that kind of operation, they really look for those little towns
Yes.
like that.
Yes.
Or they think, probably nobody will say anything.
One that's cleaned up pretty well is Tampa's, not Tampa, Ramona, the old school up there. There, it used to look pretty ugly, but it's pretty well, I think the owner themselves has cleaned some of that up.
Yeah.
Some way, yeah.
Yeah, I know some of the smaller cities have been working on that and sending letters to people
Yeah.
and different things. One thing, and I didn't bring the resolution from last year, but we have the C&D reduction plan that the commissioners have granted the ability for people to turn in an application to get a cheaper rate on like C&D disposal.
Right.
If you would think about expanding that to include other than construction and demolition waste. I mean, that may be a way for some properties to be able to clean things up.
Give me a report. I mean, I don't think we've had a report on that. Where we at? How many people we had? Did we limit it to 10 or something?
Yes, it was limited to 10 per year, 25 tons at $15 per ton for the first 25, and then the rest is full price. We had 2 applications and they were both approved. The last one was the hikes in Lost Springs, so that was the last report I gave.
Okay.
I'd have to look at my books,
That's
but
okay.
I believe the county has excused somewhere around $900, I think,
Okay.
for those 2 properties together.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just hadn't heard nothing about it lately, so.
To be honest with you, I think that a lot more people would utilize it, except for since it's part of a governmental or municipal program, it requires an asbestos inspection. So in the state of Kansas, a single-family residential property can be demolished by the owner of the property and taken right to the transfer station, but it would be full price.
And I know in a lot of the areas of the county, especially the areas that Waste Connections takes care of, a lot of people will just order a dumpster. And I don't know where they take that, but it's not Marion County.
But you wait till you pay the price on that.
Yeah, it's not cheap. No, it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Okay.
priced
I've
those
done
for
that
those
before.
cleanup
Yeah.
project, and they were expensive.
Yes. Yes, they don't come reasonable. I mean, it's maybe reasonable, but it's expensive. Okay, what else you got, Sharon?
Okay. February 25th, which will be next Thursday, we have a public hearing before the Planning Commission for a street and alley vacation, or portions of streets in an alley vacation in the Canada town site plat. So that information will get forwarded to you after the public hearing. But you're welcome to attend if you want to listen in and hear the
In
comments.
your office.
That will be here in the commission chambers, but we also have a remote option.
Okay. 7 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay. I need to take a visual of it before I.
Yes. And I can send all that information to you if you'd like. I usually wait until after the public hearing to hear the recommendation from the planning commission and then forward it all to
Right.
you.
Right.
And then you have 2 weeks to review that information before it comes to the governing body.
Yes.
But if you'd like in advance of that, I'd be happy to get that to you.
Well, I received that one phone call on dogs out there here not too long ago, and I don't know whether it's stemming from some of this or what. I don't know. That's fine.
Okay, at Canada?
Yep. And then I forwarded to this commissioner. Because they was blaming me. I said, no, they me.
One question for you is with the current weather conditions and the potential blackouts in the area and trying to conserve natural gas and electricity, would you like for my department to relocate to the appraiser's department for a couple of days just to keep some resources at bay?
You still gotta keep the building warm until you don't freeze up.
To a certain degree. It's, if we're in there and have the heater turned up to 65, 66, it's running constantly. Our building just doesn't hold heat. It's either hot because the heater's blowing or cold because the heater's not blowing.
It's not.
You're still gonna have to have heat on in there though.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think just goes across the board for everybody to scale back, not shut down.
We do, excuse me, we do have a generator here also at the courthouse, which they do not have, so if
Right.
there is a blackout, they're kind of
Yeah.
not
Do
able
what
to
you gotta
You shouldn't be
function.
able to do anything anyway.
We have the ability to work remotely. We would just require either the hotspot internet service on my phone and a couple of electrical plug-ins.
Generator is natural gas, right?
Nope.
Diesel? Diesel. Okay.
So winterized diesel?
It fires once a week.
I know, but is it gonna freeze up when it starts up?
We're gonna say no.
No, because it's got a tank heater on it.
Does it?
Yeah.
That, I don't know
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It's got a block heater and a tank heater and a battery tender.
Sharon, I don't know where we're headed with, we're in negotiations with Ricky's department over here, but I know your building, I know it's not a winter building, it's.
Or a summer building.
Or summer building either.
No, energy efficient.
So anyway, hopefully something comes out of this that we're working with, and bottom line is, we're spending money for you to be cold or be hot in the summer or whichever, and it's not a comfortable building. And I mean, I've been there, I know what you're saying, so.
I just say if it's unbearable, lock it and
Yeah.
move.
Yeah, I mean, if it comes that way, yes, yeah.
We are very conscientious about turning the thermostat down before we leave and on the weekends too. Just enough to keep it from continuously blowing in there. But to keep it warm enough to support our electronics and our poor houseplants that are in there.
I don't know where that comes under our rules, but.
No, really it's for our
But I'm worried about you
electronics.
guys, yes. No, like Kent said, if it becomes unbearable, pack it up and go to a warmer building.
The appraisers department does have a couple of empty desks right now, so.
Alrighty,
And
anything
then
else?
The last thing, if you have time, I wanted to request an executive session for personnel discussion with the board and Tina.
How about if we take care of Reno Drive, you should come back in and we'll
Sure.
do that. That'll be before public comments, or we may take public comments, go into that, and then come back out.
Okay.
And then do you last. So
Okay.
Is that okay with the board?
So come back in before public comments?
Yeah, come back in before public comments.
Okay.
And we'll take care of Reno Drive here, just, they're sitting right here, so we'll take care of them, and then we'll come back to this, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All righty.
But you stay out in the warm hallway.
Reno Drive, who's ever the speaker, or both of you up there,
Sure.
whichever. And,
So bring another chair over.
yeah,
All right.
you can take your mask off if you want to speak.
Make sure that the mic,
Delightful.
just make sure you're putting some attention to the microphone.
All right.
Thank you. Yep. Oops. Okay, thank you.
My name is Don Brown. I'll get into the mic here. My name is Don Brown.
Michael.
And this is Michael Clancy. And we have a company called Reno Dry USA. We've been in business 5 years. We started in Minnesota, that's where we come from. And we moved down, our offices down to Kansas City about, our full office down here about 4 months ago. We dry out old buildings. We bought a
system of dehydration from Europe. They've used it over in Europe for many decades now. There's an engineer in Hungary that developed the technology, and they've dried out some of the oldest and largest buildings in the world over in Europe. They've got some big buildings. Some of you that have been over there know that. And we have some fabulous buildings here too. I'm sitting in one of them right now. We dry out a lot of courthouses. Started in Minnesota with a lot of the courthouses up there, and we've now in 8 states. We have the excuse me, have the U.S. rights to this product. We guarantee it. We guarantee it'll dry out a building in 3 years, or we refund 80% of the cost to you. It's an extremely green product. Probably the greenest product I've ever run into in all my years. And it's very, very effective. We've never had a building that couldn't dry out. These buildings are our heritage sites. We think these old buildings are fabulous. Courthouses like yours, they don't build buildings like this anymore. They build buildings to last 30, 40, 50 years, and that's it. This building is probably going to last 200, 300, 400 years. Buildings over in Europe last 700, 800 years. There's no reason why ours can't do that too, and be effective. But they get water. This building has been sitting on the ground for a good long time, and they get water coming up under the building from the ground into the masonry, into the internal masonry. It doesn't matter whether it's built out of limestone, or concrete, or quartzite, or sandstone, or whatever. It gets into the mortar, gets into the brick, gets into the stone. And it brings salt with it. Salt is a naturally occurring compound in the ground, 4 types of salt. And it brings that into it, and salt is the devil in these buildings because it's a highly erosive substance. And it takes these buildings at their very foundation and starts to decay them. We've seen this in many, many, many buildings, colleges and universities as well. So we're here to do a free inspection. We would like to do that. Michael will do, he's our National Director of Technology. And he does a very complete report with pictures of what we found. And if you have what we handle, the moisture coming up, it's called rising damp. It actually has a name. The National Park Service is completely baffled by what to do with rising damp. They have 20, 30,000 buildings. The National Director of their technology says that almost every one of them is wet. We have the technology to handle that. So it's a worldwide problem, rising damp. And if your building has it here, we want to handle it and fix it. Michael, do you want to add some things to that?
I think you covered it pretty good.
Thanks.
We get rid of it. We're the only company that has the technology to actually dry out the building permanently. Don said we guarantee it. We'll do it in 3 years or less. We have a 25-year warranty on the equipment itself that we install in the building, so we know at the very bare minimum we'll keep the building dry for 25 years. We think they'll probably last 80 to 100 years because there's nothing that can corrode in the equipment, so it should last a long time.
How does your equipment, we've had 3 sides of this dug out and recoated and
great,
and you know, and protected when we covered back up.
Did they use a bituminous coating or what did they use?
Can't tell you exactly. It was something sort of limestone. You know, it was directed at limestone. So
okay.
So I hope we did the right thing at that time and covered it with the right material.
Right.
How long ago was that, Commissioner?
Oh, it's been 14, 15 years ago. So
Okay.
I don't think you wasn't even clerk, was it? I think it's Carol was a clerk. So,
Did they-
what my problem is yes, we've got the limestone, then we've got wood walls come on the inside. How do you draw it out in between that? Because that seemed to be where we had to tear some walls out to get to the stone and get to the, you know, so that they could do something.
Well, fortunately, our system works with frequencies, so there's no construction whatsoever. We don't have to dig into any of the walls. The extent of our, I guess you could say, construction would be to take core samples of the walls, so we can determine exactly how much moisture is in that wall. So we'll drill into the wall 3 to 4 inches, take a sample, we weigh that sample, we dry it out and reweigh it. That difference in weight tells us how wet the building actually is. In our system, what it does is it repels the water out of the wall, and so the gravity can push the water out of the wall again. In that process, some of that water and moisture escapes in vapor form, and in that process of that occurring, the salts draw out of the wall. That's how we're able to desalinate the walls. So we get both the moisture and the salt out of the walls, and that's what stops the erosion.
And once the system is installed, it'll keep, and dries out the building, it will keep the building dry as long as the system is in the building.
What are your courthouses made of in Minnesota? Well, most of them.
Everything, same stuff, limestone, sandstone, granite.
We have a group of buildings down in the southwestern part of the state. There's a great big quartzite formation down there. Quartzite's a really tough rock, really tough. And we've seen quartzite reduced to where I could scratch it with my fingernail when I was down in the basement.
From the salts.
Yeah. We've seen huge, big, these limestone blocks that you have and sandstone blocks reduced to powder in the basements by salt. We don't want that to happen. We want these buildings to last. They're absolutely iconic. Yeah. And this is part of our history in America, these great big buildings. Every state in the Union has these magnificent courthouses like you guys do. And every one of them's wet. Any building that we find that's over 100 years, we're almost sure. Now, with you protecting your exterior of your walls, that's a very good thing, because it protects against the rainwater. And you get rain down here just like every place else does, and that rain will come in from the exterior, lateral moisture.
Yeah, it's one thing we normally can't stop.
Yeah, you can't stop the rain. We handle the water that's coming up under the building from in the ground, from wells, artesian wells, and natural things that are in limestone everywhere in the world, and you're on limestone here. And the only other way to handle that is by cutting into the wall up about this high. They cut into the wall, they cut all the way across, all the way around. This was your courthouse. Cut all the way around, and they insert either a titanium steel tray in there all the way around, or plastic now, and other things like that, or they inject chemicals into the building all the way around, and none of them work very long.
No, extremely
And they
damaging.
don't stop rising damp. You have to stop rising damp, and we have the process that does that. We're the only ones that do.
I think that's also a reason why I said that we tore into the walls, is there was some damage. Plus, if I remember right, there was some sort of coating that we sprayed on the inside too. But I don't. It was clear, if I remember right. I don't know if you remember, Tina, down. I remember just down in the road and bridge office, down along that wall down there.
Well, hopefully it was breathable if they did.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what we did, but
The inside walls is really important that you leave it breathable. You always want
Yeah.
to use a latex paint, something that moisture can flow both ways through the wall.
On the outside, that's a great thing that you did because that does stop the lateral moisture penetration from heavy rains, things like that. As long as that vertical damp-proof course is intact, we can guarantee that the basement area will dry out and stay dry. In instances where you guys have really heavy rains and the water tables rise or the ground is saturated and the building gets wet, when those tables go back down, our system will dry the walls back out again. But we can't stop hydrostatic pressure like that.
How many county courthouses have you done?
Couple dozen at least.
I would guess at least maybe
From North
35.
Dakota all the way down to here, all the way to Tennessee.
Yeah.
And we're in 2 historical city halls. We put one in Boonville over in Missouri just a few months ago. Yeah.
So this is a piece of equipment that's a permanent install, or is this?
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, and it requires no electrical connection. Once the system is installed, there's absolutely no cost to the county from that point on. If it's in the building for 75 years, you won't have any cost to it because it doesn't use any electricity, and it requires no maintenance.
And I come back in a year, take another set of core samples so I can show you guys that we're drying out the building.
Yeah.
And then we come back again at right around 3 years at the end of the guarantee to show that the building is dried out for you guys.
Yeah.
We've never had to refund the money yet, so.
Yeah.
And we got a nice list of references we'll give you guys. You can talk to a bunch of different commissioners from courthouses all over the Midwest.
Commission, do I hear any other questions or concerns, or do you want to?
What's it cost?
Well, we do it by the square foot, and you guys know what the footprint is of this building?
Yeah,
Just a ground level footprint?
I don't know.
This is,
I can
gotta be
take-
close to 60 by 80, or 90,
Okay.
somewhere there.
So
Just on the square, rectangle.
Yeah, that's all
Right,
we're looking at.
Just footprint, yeah. The cost, I'll just give you an idea of what it's been since we started in the various courthouses. It's run from about $8,000 up to, I think our most expensive one now is about 17 or 18,000.
This one's probably somewhere in the middle.
Yeah,
Just going by the footprint, driving up to it. It's a pretty big building.
yeah, it's a big building. It's
You guys
nice
got
building.
really thick exterior walls, so
Yes.
the more walls and the thicker they are, it's a factor in the price.
And you have this big tower up on top of this building, which is really quite an amazing thing, but think how heavy that thing is. And so down in when they built this building, I would guess that they have very large
Footings.
walls.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure
footings
they're 3
for
to
that
4
to
feet
support
thick
that,
at
yeah.
least.
I can't imagine how deep the cornerstones go.
Right?
So
So this is a huge building. It's 3 stories tall with that clock tower. This is a very huge structure.
yeah, it's really fantastic. When we drove up to it, we were, wow.
But that clock tower costs us a lot of money to maintain.
What's the closest example for what you're
So
doing?
you guys over here, probably Vernon County over in Missouri, right on the border. We've been in there for about a year and 3 months. Commissioners would be happy to talk to you guys about it. It's been really nice results over there.
Also up in Taylor County in Iowa, it's pretty similar to this.
Yeah, we're on the Iowa border.
Yeah.
And that's a red brick courthouse. And they really had some bad issues going on. Their valuable documents vault down in their basement was horrendous. All their valuable docs were moldy and stunk to high heaven. And we put our system in there, and they just can't even believe it. They'll be happy to talk to you too.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a courthouse down in Tennessee that's an old, they have older buildings eastern part of the country than they do out here. That was built in 1830 something. And they just had a terrible water issue in the basement. They've done everything else, repaired the roof and so forth, but we
They
don't.
had water squirting out of the walls
Yeah.
when it would rain.
Got a spray gun.
Yeah, it was really tough. People were working down there. Anyway, we put our largest unit in there, and within 3 months, the lady who was in charge of the valuable documents, her documents were so crusted with junk, stuff from.
They couldn't even
mold.
open them.
They couldn't open them, and she said, my gosh, I'm opening the books for the very first time since I've been here. So it was drying those pages out too.
It's just a side benefit, we don't claim to dry out valuable docks.
Yeah.
We dry out the masonry.
Yeah, we just get rid of the water.
How much damage do you do to the walls to take these samples on the inside, or do you take them from the inside?
I do take it from the inside. It's not very much. There's maybe 2 or 3 areas, if I can get to it, that has exposed walls that I'll do maybe 3 feet up the wall if I have to. So maybe 2 or 3 drill holes that go about 3 to 4 inches in.
And that drill's about the size of your fingers.
Okay, that was what I was gonna ask, how
Yeah,
big the
yeah.
core was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Little.
enough to get the sample and weigh it, dry it out, and weigh it.
Is that exposed walls or?
And then do you refill it with an epoxy or
Yeah,
something like
we
that,
just
or?
put a caulk in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We don't leave any footprints.
Yeah, we try to do it in areas that aren't high visibility, so if you got mechanical rooms or closets, places that aren't gonna be visible.
Mechanical room may have some visible walls down there.
Well, but it's out of sight, out of mind, it's not really.
But it'll tell us what's going on with the other walls just by sampling in those walls.
Yeah.
It's usually when we do it in one area, we know it's in all areas.
Yeah.
But there's been boilers running down there, I don't know whether it dries it out or whether it keeps, you know.
It does.
Yeah.
The boiler's definitely affected,
I mean,
so.
the heat there's gotta dry something out.
It does,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah, so I need to find some areas where there is an influence by heat to get the true readings.
I think most of ours is sheet rock, but I know there's storage room right down over there, but I think, like I said, it is, we went back and sheet rocked it, because that was the corner we was in too.
Okay.
I think they were about sheet rocked it.
Yeah, a lot of people do that with these old buildings. They're building the limestone or whatever it's made out of gets pretty disgusting looking after.
The equipment that you put in here, where would it set? And how much space would it take up?
Is there a full
Basement.
basement below
Yep.
here, same height, ceilings and everything, roughly?
No, it's
No, the ceilings are lower in the basement.
They're 8 foot in the basement.
Because it's such a large building, we probably put 2, maybe 3 of our units in here. So I might have one on the main floor, and then I'd probably put 2 in the basement area.
And they're attached to the upper part of the wall, or they hang on the wall.
Yeah, either have a bracket that's on a wall or hanging from the ceiling. And
20 by 4 by 24.
our
6
largest
by 8.
one is 2 feet by 2 feet round, so it
Round.
looks like a giant beehive. And then I have a smaller one that's about 1 foot by 8 inches tall.
And there's no power to them?
Say it again?
No power?
No, they're just grounded so that no static electricity will build up on them. It's essentially a passive antenna, like you see a TV antenna on a roof, similar to that.
And they're about the color of the walls here.
But they're specially tuned to the frequencies of water, so it'll repel the water out of the walls.
Do I hear any recommendations or any more questioning or anything of these gentlemen before we make a decision, or we need some references to check on and then give them an answer after that?
And we'd like to do an inspection of your building while we're here.
Yeah, then I can send you guys a full report and you can see what we're looking at,
Yeah.
understand what it is.
The inspection means you're not gonna drill yet.
No, this is done, we have, it's basically a hydrometer and it just measures electrical conductivity in the wall. We just set a probe on the surface. It gives us an indication if there's moisture present.
Okay. How does the commission feel?
It won't cost us anything
That's right.
to estimate it?
Yeah, it's totally free.
Let me get the device and I'll show them a little bit how it works. Takes a quick moment.
We had any complaints, many people that work in the basement about, high humidity or dampness or musty smells or anything like that. I haven't had any.
Not lately, but we did have in the Road and Bridge at one time a person that really was, he filed a suit probably or something against us, like I read.
No,
But I think that was from our humidity, our everything, HVAC systems.
Well, some of the courthouses, it's seasonal when they get the musty, damp smell.
Yes.
Well, yeah, and we would probably be in that.
And
Category.
we get rid of it to the degree that when you do have the rainy season, it's not nearly as bad as when the walls were fully saturated the whole time and never dried out.
This is a hygrometer, and it registers dampness. It's actually, water is a conductor of electricity. And it's 8th grade science that I think we all learned along the way somewhere. And so this measures conductivity of the wall. If there's no moisture in the wall, the masonry itself is not a conductor of electricity. You put this on a piece of limestone and it measures a high reading, you know very well you got water in there because limestone isn't a conductor. If you just put it in the air here, it doesn't register anything. But you get it up near a water source, your body is about 60% water. You get it up near a water source, and it'll read 160, in the 160s. Anything above 100, when this reads on a wall, is wet. Anything below 70, it's an acceptable level. You have to have some moisture in the wall, because you didn't have any moisture, the limestone would just deteriorate and go away. Put your hand up here, Commissioner.
I don't have any electricity.
See, you're 163, it's about the same as what I
need to be
read.
dried out.
Yours will be probably roughly the same, 163. So every one of you will be in that range. It shows that you're well hydrated.
The range is from 0 to 200, that's the scale, where 200 would be like you sticking the probe in a bucket of water, but then 0 would be bone dry.
So when we get reads on a wall of 100 or more, we know you've got serious water in that building. We've seen, in fact, the last building that we inspected, readings of 140, 145, 150. That's really a wet wall. That's on the surface, just behind the surface. When Michael drills in about the length of your finger, we get the residue, the sawdust, out of the wall, put it in our little oven. Inside that wall, it will register very wet if we get 100 or more reading on the surface of the wall. Most of the time. Sometimes it doesn't.
Well, an interesting phenomenon that'll happen when we're drying out a building is the lower core sample that I take in a year when I come back and do the test again will sometimes be higher than it was when we started, because we're pushing the water down the wall. So
it shows that it's working.
Yeah.
So we'd like to do a free inspection while we're here. We'll give you a full report on it. We'll send it to you, Tina, in an email, and you can distribute it to the commissioners if you would. And
what did you have anything else you wanted to say, Commissioner? Or you?
No, I was asking her if she had a janitor here today, in case we went to the next step.
Sure.
The janitor could at least let people know that you come into their room, what you are about, or something like to that effect.
Sure.
That's what I was asking.
that'd be great.
Okay.
We have somebody here today.
You do have someone?
We do have a janitor here today.
Oh, great.
We're been meeting with Chase County right next door to you too, that has that old courthouse. And we've done an inspection of their building, and the commissioners are about ready to make a decision on whether they're gonna go with us. We feel quite sure they will. So we're pleased about that.
You're inspecting Butler County in 2 weeks, I think we're gonna look at their courthouse.
Yeah.
Do I hear any discussion, what you want to do?
I guess send us your report.
Okay.
Did we?
And
We'll
give
send
us
you a list
give us
of
some
references.
Yes, references.
Yeah, along with the references.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah.
We'll take it under consideration after you do that,
Wonderful.
and let you know.
That sounds good.
And when we send you the inspection report, I'll also send you a project estimate.
Okay.
So you have an idea of
Okay.
what the cost is going to be.
That'll work.
Okay.
And you'll need to get Tina's email and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it just on the website or?
You can stop in my office and get one of my cards from the secretary, from one of the
Okay.
girls in there.
All right, that's
In the next door right there.
right next door?
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
I got 2 buildings downtown,
Okay,
the offices, we got mold.
yeah. Well, it means you got moisture.
Yeah. And we take.
Stop this afternoon and visit with us.
We can.
My brother's name's on the back of the card.
Okay. So just stop by. Is Jim over there right now?
Mhm.
Okay, great.
And when you get rid of the water, the mold will go away.
Oh, yes.
And
I
the mold,
realize that, yes.
the mold that doesn't go away, we'll show you how to handle it.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you guys for.
All right.
coming around.
Yeah,
Thank
you're
you
very
for having
welcome.
us, gentlemen.
Yeah, this was nice. I enjoyed meeting with all of you.
So,
Thanks for having us in, Tina.
yeah.
I know we know that she's the boss here, so.
That's not true.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. It's good to meet you all. and-
Have a good day.
I will, and we'll.
You just proved that you're very observant.
Yes. We've met with a few commissions, so we know how it works. Well, great. We'll get this over to you next couple of days, and we'll go from there.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, Sharon, if she's back in.
So we do have some public comments
We
on
do?
the chat.
Okay.
And it looks like the person that submitted it is no longer on the call, but those will disappear when we go off meeting and come back in. So is it okay to do public comments now? Or
Yes, yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do public comments.
Okay, so this is from Diane, and it says, a question for Chairman Randy Dalkey. Sharon Olmsted indicated to the court at her last hearing, January 4th, that the county taxpayers would be paying for her legal expenses stemming from her filing a civil domestic case. And then another comment, I want Commission Chair to justify the use of taxpayer dollars being used in a domestic case that took place off county property, off county time. Secondly, if the county is providing legal counsel at county expense, will this then be a benefit to all off-duty employees involved in domestic situations? Clarify if it is your intent to start filing lawsuits against every Marion County taxpayer who expresses dissatisfaction with a employee performance. This is very concerning. It could set the stage to infringement of First Amendment rights and a host of other improper practices, just asking. So that's what the public comment was.
Okay, I will address that. Huh?
She's not on there anymore.
Okay. Well, I will address it for anybody. I mean, the incident happened at a public place, but it was direct comments to the person's job, who the person does, and what they do. And you know, when there's threats made, we don't take it lightly, and we will pursue anything if they're an employee of Marion County's and the threat is because of what their job they do. It was not because of a civil case or anything like that outside their job. It was due to what the employee did as a performance for Marion County. That is my opinion of why I voted to have legal counsel to do that. I will let any other commissioner speak to this right now so we can
I remember, and it was basically expressed that had she not worked for the county, there would be no issue to this. And as an employee on the clock or off the clock, you know as well as I do, they're always on the clock when it comes to their department.
Yeah. I agree 100%. So if there's any other commissioner wants to care to speak, well, I go right ahead. If not, we'll move on.
No, I agree with
Okay.
both comments that county employees are on 24/7 because people expect to get an answer from them when they meet them in public.
That's true too, Dave.
You go to the grocery store, you're gonna have a comment about your job.
Yep. Yep.
And I think our employees do a great job of responding back to the public.
Plus, the issue arose from not just the employee's job, but an ongoing issue.
Ongoing
That
issues.
it was all county related.
And there was a threat made. I mean, there's a personal, or not a personal, just a public threat made, you know, that something will happen. So we're not gonna let that ride. That people can think whatever, but we're not gonna let it ride. So I hope that answers their questions, and we'll move on. If there's any other personal or public comments up there.
Or anybody else that wants to.
Yeah, anybody wants to chime in, come, go ahead and open up.
I'm not seeing anyone unmuting or any of the chat boxes lit up. I did get some information that we are gonna start having some rolling blackouts.
Yeah.
And I think that up north may be off. That may be why we lost Commissioner Mueller, and that might be also why. No, David Mueller's still
My
on.
section's
He's
back
still
on, so it's moved.
Dave's on right
Yeah,
now.
I see him.
Unless he's running the
Power is back on in Tampa and Durham.
It is back on?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Okay. And maybe that's something, you know, that we might address right here. What happens if it continues for 3 days, next 2 or 3 days? Huh?
What can we do?
Well, that's what I'm saying. How do we address the courthouse?
Could you leave the map? Does that mean anything for you? That's an hour map, something from
I guess we'll just go ahead and handle commission comments and then.
Okay, we don't have any rolling blackouts in Marion County right now, as per the REA map.
Okay.
Now, I can't talk for Evergy right there.
I got the Evergy map right here.
And, sorry, Bryce just commented on the meeting that MFA just told me they were unable to submit a fuel bid because of power outage.
Okay. 3 outages.
So I don't know what, Flint Hills, I mean, I think our emergency manager needs to be in contact with both of them, so we'll have an idea of where these are gonna happen, either in the rural or in the city.
As of yesterday, didn't sound like that Evergy was planning on any in our
Well,
area, but that
it was,
yesterday.
the comment was yet, so
Yeah.
today's
Yeah.
another day.
Yeah.
And Randy sent an updated 9:55 this morning,
Right.
a text.
Rolling blackouts. So, I think it's sent to everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Commissioner Mueller commented there is no advance notice.
That's what they told me yesterday, it just happens.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, commission comments. Any, we'll get them over with too. and then we'll go on.
Been getting emails from KMEA, based on the rolling blackouts and the situations and the dire straits in 14 states. And when I reached out to Randy Frank, he was aware of it, and he was actively trying to figure out and finding out how critical a threat it was in Marion County. So I just said, you know, Randy is looking out for it right
He
now.
reached out to me yesterday, and he said he tried to call you, but you're
Yes.
probably out.
Yeah, I called him back after about 30 minutes. I noticed I missed his phone call, and I called him back and talked to him after that.
So
And I know-
appreciate him staying on top of that.
Yeah.
I know how people could take this lightly, and it really needs to be reiterated that it's not. It's actually a serious situation.
Yeah.
So everybody needs to.
Unusually cold.
Yeah.
The rolling blackout is kind of the first step.
Yeah, it's last chance mitigation is what it is. So that tells you how bad it actually is.
We'll keep hoping and praying that after today it water rates.
Yeah. Okay. And I will touch base with Randy after this and let him know to keep us up to touch.
Yeah, he let me know yesterday that
Yeah, he said he called all of us.
Marion County would not be affected.
Yeah, that was as of yesterday.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
That's why I said,
yeah, just
everything changes daily with
Yeah.
what we're in.
So,
If you're working on computers, keep backing up.
okay, I'm gonna go back to
Keep sharing every 10
planning and
minutes.
zoning, and gonna have a executive session for non-elected personnel, for personnel matters. What kind of time frame?
10 minutes.
10 minutes, okay. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss personnel performance pursuant to KSA 75-4319B for personnel matters of non-elected personnel with the board and Sharon. Do you care to have Tina? With Tina in there too. For 10 minutes, we will go in at 10:50 and come out at 11 o'clock. And resume back at 11 o'clock with that. So I made the motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Kent. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Dave?
Aye.
Okay, aye. Now,
No, just call him on the phone.
You know,
yeah, I was gonna say, Jonah's gonna call you on the phone, Dave, and we'll have it through a phone call.
Awesome, I was just gonna call.
Okay.
This conference will now be recorded.
I think I can talk. Yes. Okay. Out of executive session, no decisions. We'll move on. And we've done everything. Public comments, commission comments, any final?
Are we gonna bring up on the next agenda about changing the meeting times?
Yes, I was gonna have that, I have that on today as potential administrative, but we did not receive the resolution.
Yeah.
So, yes,
Was Brad preparing that also?
yes.
You might, in your text, tell him to bring that with him.
Okay.
Because I've already had several people say, when do I get on now? In the afternoon, so we need
Yeah.
to.
Well, the resolution has to go through for, I mean, you can always tell them, the resolution has to go through at least a
Yeah, I
couple
told them, I
weeks.
said, it's the hoops we have to jump through.
Yeah, it'll be a couple weeks
People
before.
show
Well, yeah, we have to publish it twice.
They run it in the paper,
Exactly.
so
It's
that
basically a month, in a month.
Okay. Is there anything we need to address for cold weather? I mean, we've got the clinic tomorrow, going on, helping Deidre get set up over there. Is there anything else for cold weather that you guys want to address real quickly? Sharon, thank you.
Thank you.
I'd just say, if it doesn't need to be done this week, don't do it.
Okay.
Stay home.
Yeah, it's supposed to be nice next week, 50s. It's amazing, people used to say that was cold. Everybody's looking forward to it.
Forties is gonna be like a heat wave.
Yeah, I know. Perception.
Okay. Well, with nothing, Sharon, or Tina, do you have anything that we need to do that would,
No, I don't think so.
in case something backfires and we have problems with courthouse or something, give me a call and we'll make some decisions what it looks like.
So just one thing might be that if we do have some issues, rather than having a meeting, if you wanted to take any action, authorize the chairman to make a decision about closure or any, anything like that.
That's a good idea. I'd make a motion to authorize the chairman to handle any questions in regards to a closure.
Have a motion by Kent, do I hear a second?
Second.
Second.
I got 4
second.
seconds to a motion by Kent to have the chairman work with the county clerk if there's something cold, due to cold weather or something that we have to close, make some decisions to close the courthouse. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous.
Aye.
Okay, can you please tell me who to recognize for the second?
Who the second was?
Yes.
The first one was Jonah,
Okay.
then Dave, and then Dave.
All right, I'm taking Jonah, if that's
Did
okay.
you see that?
Yeah.
It's not scissors, it's the second.
It's the second this time. Folks out there, if you're listening, stay warm. And don't be scared to call for help, whatever you need, and that's something else. Just let somebody know if you're going out in this cold to where you're gonna make it to a problem. So, thank you all. I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Jonah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0. Thank you, Dave.
Yep, stay warm.
Yep.
Yeah, good luck.